Hey guys, you'll have to let me know, those are guys that you can see me, whether everything is alright. This is the first time I've been using the Top Clack account, so I had a few different things to set up. So if the mic's too loud or if the music's too loud or anything like that, settings might be a little bit different to how I had them, so just let me know. I'm just going to give it a few minutes for people to join. You've got an echo. Ooh. Let me just pause the music a second while I do that. Let's see if we can fix that echo. What time do I call this? 2 minutes late. Yeah. There's only one audio device connecting. Roboty with a mild echo. Let me just try moving the microphone. Although it's in exactly the same position as previously. Okay, let me just jump into settings. As I say, with new stuff, it's going to be different. How is that? Is that any better? Is that any better, guys? That should just be this Rode mic now. Yeah, interesting. Way better? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. It was picking up two mics. It was picking up the mic from one of the cameras and also the Rode as well. So glad we got that sorted. Let me put that back in position. Different Streamlabs, different settings. What can I say, guys? Knew there was going to be something that tripped me up. Okay, so we're just going to give it a few minutes. I'm just actually trying to find a keycap set for my Pearl at the moment. So I've been wanting to use the Pearl for a little while, so I figured that I should finally get some keycaps on it. So we're going to just quickly keycap this board up with some DSA Bounty Hunter, just while we wait for people to join, and then we'll go from there. I'm sure I've got an escape key that fits this. This is lack of preparation, is this one, guys? Oof, new mouse mat. Yeah, new mouse mat. This was my Secret Santa gift from Tidal, who's one of my good friends in the UK. He was kind enough to... In fact, actually, do you know what? I know what we're going to do on these. Grab a keycap puller. DSA Bounty Hunter. Yeah, that's the one. Hey, we've got 159. Bled in. Ooh, Sierra D. New name. Don't recognise you, but welcome to the stream. You may be a Top Clack regular. In which case, hello. Okay. Just give a few more minutes for people to join. Who else have we got? 159, Stotty Boy, Stocks. Yeah, quite a few people will join in. And we've got Andy Holland as well. Hey Andy, good to see you, dude. Good to see you. Bloody wants to set a Bounty Hunter as well. I'm just going to sort out the keys that I need here, then we'll go from there. Where's all the alphas when you want them? Oh, we've got Natty as well, and we've got Anarchy, and we've got Andrew. Hey man, good to see you guys. Glad to see that you could all join and follow today. As I said, we're just going to quickly cap my Pearl. It's been neglected recently because it's not had a keycap set on it, so I figured whilst I had a spare one going, I should put it on the board, and then get your guys' opinion on what it looks like after it's done. And this is where I struggle because I'm not used to capping 40%. So I always forget what keys I need and what I don't need. Here we go. Oh, we've got Anarchy with the Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much, dude. I really appreciate that, man. I've probably not got all the right notifications turned on as yet. Brian and I need to just sit down and sort that out. I'll just put the music back on as well. There we go. And the MeBot just notified as well. It should have also done it in my Discord server as well. So if there's anyone that's in that server and can confirm, that would be good. Okay. This is where we find we've not got enough keys for this board. And we've got Fax 360 as well with the Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much, Fax, for the sub. If those of you who don't know, Fax is the premier EU provider of stabilizers in the community as well. So whilst he's not an official sponsor or anything like that, he is my go-to guy for GMK and Cherry stabilizers, whether you're wanting clip-ins or screw-ins. And we will be using some of his stabs today. He'll probably recognise this exact packet because he posted it out to me just before Christmas. And whilst it does say ISO, sadly today's build of the Verne, which we'll show in just a few minutes, isn't going to be an ISO board, purely because I don't have the PCB doesn't support it. So there we go. Too much ANSI on that desk. We need the MK UK emote. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I can set the quality to 480p now for a lag-free J. Pingu, you need to get a better internet connection because this is technically in 4K. Although I think Twitch downstreams it to 1080p. And we've got Liv as well. Hello, Olivia. Glad to see you again on stream. We'll be actually looking at your VIA software later on towards the end of this stream. That's something we will definitely be doing and looking at. That's not the right key for there. That's not the right key for there either. There we go. So I'm just going to try and get all of the keys on this board and then we'll crack on with the build. Okay. Gonna go with the barred homing keys on this. Don't know what you guys think to barred homing keys, but that's what we're gonna go with. Still got the L key to find. Okay. And there it is. Okay. I think I'm still missing a few keys. Here we go. Okay, right, let's see what chat's catching up to. So Soren, we've got Soren, hey, I missed you before. Sub refund please, reason no ISO. Yeah, we're not doing refunds for no ISO. There will be some ISO builds, and if I can do it, the Verne will become ISO. I need Wilbur to support me on that. And it is something that I've been talking to him about in some PMs a couple of weeks ago, so we'll see where we can get to for that one. And we've got LBbus as well. Hey man, good to see you. Saying hey Jay. Soren's making emotes at the 6K bitrate. Yeah, we should be flush at 6K. I don't see any deviations in that. I think it's like 5.9 or something. Raging Asian wants a refund for seeing an ISO board. Well, you know, that's how it is. I've got Wit Sellers as well. Hey man, good to see you. At least we get to see a bit of ISO this build stream. There'll be a lot more build streams with ISO, and there'll be some more without ISO as well, sadly. The next week's build is going to be my Zephyr, which I got a couple of weeks ago and I showed on the Top Clack stream last week. The Zephyr is going to be built with in ISO, sorry, in ANSI, because that's all it supports. It doesn't support anything else. Again, unless I can convince Wilbur to help me do a modified plate and PCB, which we might have a look at. We've got Daniel Grouse on here as well. I'm saying I'm still trying to get used to the scooped homing keys on MT3, but as comfortable as they are, barred nippled homing keys, nippled homing keys are way easier to distinguish. Yeah, I tend not to use them. I tend to use scooped ones on GMK, but given the fact that I don't have those for DSA because it's a spherical profile rather than a curved profile, we'll be going with the bars on this. Hopefully that will help me. Okay, we just need to work out which way around these space bars and everything else went now. Got hair in there, get rid of that. Okay. Just going to finish capping these off. Okay. I'm sure I've got a 1.25U shift somewhere for this set. No more like I don't. I'll go with that for the escape there. Okay, we'll just use a 1U for now until I find the 1.25 one. I think all of the shifts seem to be missing from here. Hold on. No, there we go. Okay, just a couple more keys left. That's one. And then where's the hash key? I'll find it. There we go. Okay, there we go, guys. I don't know what you guys think. But there we go, that's DSA Bounty Hunter on the Pearl. Apologies if the camera's looking a little bit weird. I had to change some of the settings to pick up everything in the light today because one of my lights is broken. But there we go. I'll show you guys the bottom of the Pearl as well. So this is built with 62 gram round 1 Zelios. It's been in my possession for a little while, courtesy of my good friend Glue, who I don't think is watching today, but he's a really good friend of mine. Just catching up with chat, we've got Malenki with the Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you very much, Malenki. Can't wait to see you again at the next UK meetup. What else is going on? Everyone gets your name. Is it not LB Bass? Is that me saying it wrong? I'm sure that's right. Red Zephyr, yeah, Red Zephyr next week with some custom artisans from Glove Caps. He's actually making those right now for me as well. Oh look, a top Clack stream you can watch live. There you go, man. There you go. Clean, yeah, good tones, looking good. This camera is giving me vertigo. I do apologise with sellers. So the camera is actually sat on top of a monitor which is in front of me. So there's a monitor just literally here. One of the things that I'm going to work on with Brian is getting a camera that's going to be 4K. It's going to sit right above the desk and look down on it rather than having a slight angle to it. We will fix that. It'll be a couple of weeks away just yet. Staggered 40%. Unfortunately, the one thing about this is it is the wrong stagger. So the stagger is slightly off on the AS row from the Q row. So it's just one of those things. But get used to it. Get used to it. Board looks super nice. So thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. It does look good. The weight on the Pearl, it's a hefty boy as a Pearl. If you guys have never had a chance to see a Pearl in real life, they're one of the heaviest 40% I've seen in a long time. Showing off more Zeal TM products. Well, it's one for the collection more than anything else for Zeal. LBI Bass. Is that not what I said before? Not what I said before. And we've got Mr. Evil Genius himself. Hey man, good to see you again. Good to see you on one of my streams. Libby Bass. We've got Titan as well. Welcome Titan. Good to see you, dude. Okay, let me just pop these caps away. Probably deafen you guys on the process. I don't know where that 1.25 shift key's gone, but apparently I don't have it anymore. I might have to change it for the right key there. Let's keep that to one side. Someone on Nathan Kim's stream called me Ibibas. I'm going to call you that from now on, dude. Ibibas. Yeah, I like that. I prefer that one as well. Yeah, 159. I like that one better as well. I definitely prefer that. Okay. LB bus. LBI bus. There we go. Whatever, I don't know. He knows I'm talking to him when I'm pronouncing something like that. I'm just going to call him Bibas, and we'll go with that. Okay, I'm just going to change that one key for the shift. I'm a little bit disappointed that I've lost that shift key from the set. I'll have to dig that out and see where it's gone. There we go. We've got ISO returns as well. Good evening, dude. Good evening. Probably just deafened you again with the can opening, so I do apologise. But I need some sugar. So today, guys, we're going to be building the Verne. Now, before I show you the Verne, these are the switches I've lubed today. These are Zelio's V2. They are 78 gram ones. They've not been spring changed, but they have been lubed on the housings, the springs, and the stems as well, all down the slider rails, but not on the tactile stems, not on the front part of the foot. So these are highly tactile. They haven't lost any of the tactility compared to the non-lubed switches. But I didn't want to do what Brian does and subject you guys to 2.5 hours of me painstakingly lubing switches with a brush. We will be doing a build stream where I do lube some switches, and I'll show you guys how I do that. Or you can go back and check the old videos on my old channel, which is J Keeps on Twitch and YouTube, and you'll be able to see how I've lubed switches in the past there. But we're going to go with these. They are really tactile. Zil wasn't lying when he said they were more tactile than Holy Pandas. Now I will say it is a different type of tactility, but they're still extremely tactile. That bump is really prominent on the downstroke and on the upstroke as well. I think in terms of other switches, they have a bit of a downside in terms of sound, but again, I've only used them in this state on a polycarbonate 1 centimetre thick mod station. I haven't tried them in a board yet, so until we've got them in the board, I don't want to say that they don't sound good, but if they sound anything like Zil V1s, I think they'll lose out to some other switches in terms of the sound profile. Let's just catch up with chat, see what you guys are talking about. I haven't dropped it on the floor, have you? I've dropped nothing on the floor now. Nothing's on the floor down here. The dog would have had it if I had. One of my other boards actually uses some of the mods. I suspect it's on that board. I thought I'd have enough mods to do two, because I've got another Mech Mini, another 40% with those. In fact, I'll show you guys it. I'll show you. So guys, so this is my Mech Mini 2 with, there you go, there it is. That's where it is. So this is my Mech Mini 2, another 40% with, it's got modern Hyrulean alphas, and then it uses the mods from Bounty Hunter. As you can see, it kind of matches. I'm not sure which you guys think looks the best, but there we go, that's both of the boards there. Just catching up with chat. 78 gram of Zeal V2s are so nice. I agree, Poochsag, I absolutely agree. Pinkroy says, what are your thoughts on Holy Pandas, purely as a switch? I have Holy Pandas in this canoe. This canoe is full of Holy Pandas. It's probably my most used daily board next to the Alice. I absolutely love them. I think they're a great switch. They sound fantastic, and they have great tactility. And I think it's the one thing they have better than the Zeal V2s is the sound profile is better, mainly because it's louder and it's a little more clacky. Then again, if I want a quieter board for a tactile switch, I think I'm going to say that these are probably my favourite switch for a tactile board, for all use cases rather than just for at home. Isorison says, how long have you been rolling? About 20 minutes. I've just capped the 40% you saw a few moments ago, and that's about all I've done. The only other thing I want to show you guys on this is I received a new base plate for this from Chris Swires, who is a good friend of mine, and this is a completely solid brass base for the case. That is absolutely 100% solid. This board actually weighs more than the Pearl now, and the Pearl weighs more than most, 60%, so that's actually a solid piece of brass that's been CNC'd, show you on the profile there, to fit the bottom of this case. But yeah, you can see just around the USB, there you go. Actually a lot thicker at this point than it is around the USB as well, but there we go. How does it sound compared to the Polycarb? A lot thockier. Give you a bit of a demo. There we go. So, yeah, so I popped that onto one side. Anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that because it's quite nice. So just catching up on chat again, guys, you've been talking a lot. 159, I may do ISO my DC60. Yes, please do. And if you've got a DC60 that does Bluetooth, please sell it to me. Not a fan of how much linear travel I have after the bump compared to Holy Pandas. That's fair, that's fair. Holy Pandas do have a slightly shorter bottom out purely because the pole's extended on them inside the switch. ISO returned. Awesome, I can still make it just on the phone. Oh, nice, nice. Still like them in the top tier tactile. I agree, Regin. I agree. I absolutely agree. But love Mech Minis. I'm typing on mine now. Yeah, I like mine. It's a nice little travel board. Probably a little bit too heavy now, but it is nice. I think the Mech Mini looks better. I just don't care for the split space. That's fair. The reason is I just wanted a split space one because my other 40% all have a 6.25U space, so I just wanted one that had a split space. Simple as that. Not sure about the green, but it's really nice. Yeah, it looks good. Hey, we've got Jamos as well. Jamos is a good friend of mine. He was on stream a couple of weeks ago building a high rose board with me. That was his board. So I hope you're enjoying that when it gets to you. I posted it out to you yesterday, so you should have it soon. How does it sound compared to Polygamo? Answer that one. Oh, Chris's boards are ridiculous. Yeah, all Chris's Mech Minis are ridiculous. I've got 2. He's got 6, I think, something like that. Normie with the copper bottom, yeah, something like that. You could say that's Normie. That's a 5mm plate. No, neither of those are 5mm plate on those. They're both just normal 1.5s. Light blue DC60, right? If that's what it is, yeah, I just need a Bluetooth board. Oh, and my dog's come to say hello. She's just burst into the room. What else are we talking about? Wish I had still had a DC60. Yeah, I just need something Bluetooth to go with my iPad. That's the thing for work. How long will I be streaming for, Boba King? Just a couple of hours. I'm going to build the Verne in a few minutes. We're going to put these switches in the board, solder it all together, have a look at VIA, see how that works, and then we'll end the stream. So probably an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes from now. Keyboard Warriors, hey man, good to see you. Seen your Instagram posts. It says stepped caps #1. Stepped caps is my favourite caps. Nearly all my boards feature ISO and stepped caps where I can. Sadly today I won't be able to, but we might do stepped caps actually. No, we can only do normal caps, but I'll show you the board in a second anyway. Stepped caps is life, yes. I have a dog, yeah, I'll have a dog. Do you want to see the dog on stream? Let me see if I can get her. Geeks, come here, come on. There we go, here we go. Dog on stream. Woof! There you go. Look. There we go. Go on then. Off you go. She's not going to leave me alone now. She's going to be all over me now. But yeah, Puppa. She's called Gigi and she's a cutie. Fact saying that if the doggo enters the room, it must be on stream. There you go. Yeah, well, if she comes back in, I'll put her on again. The wife's shut the door now, though. Okay, guys, so without much further ado, I'm going to get on the Verne and show you guys the board. Once we've had a look at the board and I've talked a little bit about it, I'll take it apart. We'll have a look at the PCB, which is exquisite. Wilbur's done an absolutely fantastic job on that. And then we'll crack on with the build. So this is the Verne. Excuse the plate, it's slightly got a few fingerprints on it. I'll clean those up after the build's done. It's fixed layout plate. This is the only layout the plate offers at the moment. I know that the PCB offers a slightly different bottom row. You can probably see there, just in here, there's another option for the bottom row. Zambin1 has said that there will be some different variations in terms of what's available for the plates when it goes into production, and there may or may not be relief cuts on there as well, but not on this prototype version. This is the board from the top. Nice TKL, rounded corners. This is a dark grey variant, not quite black. From the back, you can see it's got a left USB, that is USB-C. From the side, you can see that it's got this lovely profiled shape to it. This lovely curve here, and then around the back as well. It's one of the really nice pieces about this board. Again, excuse fingerprints, it's really warm in here and the aluminium's really cold. That's not a scuff on the board, it's just dirt. There we go. But I have to say, I do love these curves. They are fantastic. I've got some rubbish on the desk there. Oh. There we go. So there we go. There we go. So let me know what you guys think. It is quite a good looking board. We're going to be putting GMK muted on here to test it out once it's built. But yeah, let's take it apart and see what's what. Mr. Petrov says the board's gorgeous. 159 says ooh wee. Facts, unzips, yeah, tighten whistles. Ansi, time for the wooden gloves. No wooden gloves for me. I'm not German. Querdenker, I think he builds with gloves. Looks lovely. German issue keyboard gloves are a Streamlot also. Are there cutouts for the feet? Yes, there is little indentations under where the feet are. You probably can't see them on stream. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick them up, but there are little indentations where the feet go, and they are sat in them. I'm not sure if that's picking it up or not. Maybe on this one it might. What's the price looking like for the Verne? I don't actually know. I know what I paid for the prototype, which I'm not going to tell you, but I don't know what the actual retail price will be. I know that it's only going to run in limited volumes. I think 25 is the limit that Zambo wants to sell. So we'll see how that goes for his group buy. What a beaut. Yeah, it is. Anarchy says it's unusual seeing a board with that slab of brass on the back. Yeah, it's very true. It is. He didn't want a weight. He just wanted something nice and substantial on its own right. And I'll tell you something, the board is heavy with or without a weight. It's also very simple, very elegant. And I kind of like that. It reminds me of the design profile for the gasket as well, because that doesn't have a weight either, the GSKT. So yeah, so it's interesting. I know Rock says it's garbage, send it to me. Sure man, I'll get it in the post to you straight after we've built it. KB Worries agreeing with Anarchy about the way that it's been a bit unusual. It is, but it's kind of nice, it's a bit refreshing to see. I dated a German girl once, they do everything with gloves. Wow. It's more than I needed to know. Hangman says fixed anti-plate. Yes, it is fixed anti-plate, and from an EU member as well. And the PCB does not support ISO, and we'll have a look at the PCB in a bit more detail in a second. So there we go, guys. That's the this is the internals. So you can see here that it does have a daughter board for the USB-C. So we're plugging that together. This is just grease around the ports. They're not marks on the board, it's just grease around there. I think it's actually like the condensation from it being really warm and cold in shipping. There's a couple of marks on the inside of the case just here. I don't know what caused them. I don't know if they've been picked up on camera or not. No, there's two tiny little marks there. And you guys can see the cutouts for the plate just on the edge here and here, which is about a 1.5mm deep recess. I don't know if they're showing up or not. Maybe under the light a bit more. You see that just there? A little recess. Oh, you can see it clear here on the side. There's more on the sides and more on the bottom. They are on the top as well. Okay, so that's the internals. Just going to pop that to one side. Over here actually. Just looking at the inside of the board. This is the absolutely stunning PCB. As you can see, it says Verne by Zambo on there. Lovely font, lovely gold colour. It's got the Nautilus logo, Wilbur's logo. Wilbur Designs an excellent PCB, I have to be honest. And also Zambo's logo just across this bottom here. This here is where the USB-C cable plugs in. That's where the USB port goes. And yeah, that's how the PCB fits together. Hangman says very nice. Yep, absolutely. Phillips head screws though. Yeah, I wish there'd been talks. I think they might be different for the actual group buy run. I haven't spoken to Sam about that. I can add it to the list of things to talk to him about and see what he says. And I think these are actually Posi drive rather than Phillips, which are slightly different. I've got dog hairs all over me now. Got one of the 5mm POM plates just now. Hope it doesn't have the same issues as the 2mm. Oh, that reminds me, I need to order those for you, man. If you PM me after the show, I'll make sure I put the order in the next couple of days. I'm so sorry. With Christmas and New Year, I just completely forgot, but I can do that. Zambu is here. Ah, Zambu, yes. 30 units. Thanks for watching, Zambu, yeah. Is your mic the NT USB? It is, yes. It's the Rode NT USB, yeah. Weighs about 2.7 kilograms assembled. Yeah, I think that's about right. It's a heavy board for just for Alu without weight in it. I'd agree. Absolute unit, yes. The PCB is pretty. The PCB is absolutely stunning. My only regret is that the PCB does not support ISO. If it did, that would be the one thing that would make it perfect for me. And I know, Zambu, you don't want to run it with ISO or split left shift or anything like that. But yeah, that's just one of those things. Designer's decision. Yeah, the PCB, the Wilder's PCB design skills are unreal. Him and Yankar are both knocking out the park with their PCBs recently. Yankar did the HS60, and then we've got newcomers such as Martin, who's doing the Simple 60 or whatever it's called that I linked in Top Clack earlier today. Zambu saying he ran out of hex sockets. Well, hopefully for the group buy you'll have some more hex sockets. I probably will change these to Torx ones if I'm honest, rather than hex. The problem with hex is that they tend to round a little bit easier, whereas Torx don't. Torx tend to be a little bit more secure. So just looking at the inside again, we can see this is the inside of the case. You see the PCB and the plate are deeply recessed in there. So there you go. There we go. Looks really good. And you can see it's got the top and bottom connectors here. So the reverse of the inserts that we saw before in the previous part. It's now got the raised sections that just hold that together nice and neatly. So just looking at the plate again, so if we lay the plate on the board, I'll get it the right way around, you can see that there are multiple options for the bottom row. Zambu, I don't know if you're still in chat, but I think you are. If you are, I think when we spoke before about this, you said there was an alternative bottom row that other plates in the group buy may or may not support. So I don't know if you want to clarify that anymore at this time. But yeah, so that's about it. The rest of the board is pretty much fixed layout. There's no other options. You can't have split backspace on this board. It is just one option for the full backspace with the stabilizer. And again, I think this is just down to what Zambuman himself wants, and that's why he's designed it this way. Torx doesn't equal good. Yeah, I'd rather have Torx than Torx screws than Allen key screws. Torx is just usually better than hex. Sorry, hex is what I'm thinking of. Boards like this make me wish I didn't have a kid. Stares at doors. I don't have any kids. Not that correlates. I ordered lots of those for the group buy. AliExpress just screwed me. That makes sense. Two layouts, modern and classic. There you go. I don't know which one this is. I'm not going to open the link on stream, but if you want to clarify, you can do. Either way, we're going to build it today. One thing that does bug me though is stepped caps, man. Stepped caps is just so much nicer. But I completely get you wanting to keep the PCB simple. Fixed plate equals proper plate. Yes. Standard ANSI is modern. Right. Okay. Does that mean classic is going to add ISO? Hold on. Let me just shut this door, guys. Just give me a second. Okay, classic has step caps, right? Okay, yes. And can't say I'm a fan of the shiny brash. Wish it was brushed or sandblasted. I don't know what options Zambu's going to run in the group buy. I don't mind a shiny plate. It is a little bit harder to take care of, and I do prefer sandblasted brass. But then again, I like shiny copper. So swings and roundabouts. All depends on the material. So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to build up this this board. We're going to try and put everything together nice and neatly. The first thing we're going to start with is the stabilizer, so I'm just going to pop this to one side. Now on this board we need a stabilizer for the backspace, for the anti-enter, for the right shift, for the left shift, and also for the spacebar. So I have a full pack here. You can see two J's. Woo! The group buy will have sandblasted plates. They have relief cuts in those areas that are relief cuts. Yeah, I knew you'd mentioned that it's going to have some relief cuts, so I'd imagine there's going to be some relief cuts just around here, and then again up around backspace over in this sort of area, and probably around some of the other keys as well. You can see what that looks like. So we're going to be running 6.25U space on this one, and we're going to be clipping and lubing these stabilizers. Let's run that out of the way. I lube my stabilisers with dielectric grease. It's nice, easy to use stuff. It doesn't cost a fortune, and I usually apply it with a brush as well. So we'll show you my method for doing that shortly. Just give the brush a quick. So the way I do stabilisers is I work out how many I need. So as I said, we need one for the space bar. Put all the bits out together just so we know what we've got. We need a 2U4 backspace. We need a 2U for the ANSI enter. We need a 2U for the right shift. And we need a 2U for the left shift. And then we need screws for each. I'm just going to pop the screws up here on my little screw mat. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 4 and 5. Just move these spare parts out of the way. As I said, these stabilisers did come from Fax. Fax was the guy who subbed earlier on. If you're in the EU or worldwide, Fax is great for GMK screw-in stabilisers or Cherry clip-in stabilisers, as well as plate mount as well. He's my go-to guy if I want those types of stabilisers, so feel free to hit him up if that's what you want. No, relief cuts in those areas that are covered by the top piece, so between the F-row, navigation, 60%. Oh, okay, so you mean right across here. Hold on, let's bring it into the centre. So you mean around underneath the F-row, so between the F-row, so along here. Top piece, so between the F-row, navigation, 60%. So around here and across there is what I assume you mean. I'll let Zambo clarify that if that's what he wants. Classic layout is the ideal 10 keyless layout. I'll have a look in a bit. Daniel's saying great music choice, tune into that YouTube stream all the time. Yeah, I just like it on in the background while I'm doing stuff like this. Excellent, thank you Zambu, thank you. Okay, so back to the stabilizers. What we're going to do now is clip them. So if you guys have ever seen any of my videos before, you'll see that I clip the 2 shortest legs. I'm going to try and get this to focus. So you can see here we've got, well, not very clearly. This is going to focus. No, it's not. But what I try and do is I try and clip the 2 shortest legs. So I'm going to put my thumb under that leg there that you can see there, which is the thinnest, and then also diametrically opposed to that, this leg here in the corner, which has kind of got a weird notch taken out of it. So what I'm going to do is clip both of those legs off. I'm going to do this on each stabilizer insert and try and get the bottom as flush as possible. And there you go. Now you can see that it has only got 2 of the legs on it that it had previously. Apologise guys, my camera doesn't want to zoom today, it's not trying to pick this up. But there we go, so I've got 2 of the 4 legs that it had previously. The bottom's nice and flush as well. One of them does have like a little kink that means that the bottom doesn't remain flush. Let's try and show you this here. So you can see that that bottom is nice and flat and smooth. If you look at one that hasn't been clipped, you can see that there is one of the legs is raised up and it's not exactly flat on the flush and bottom. So the aim is to try and get rid of that and make it all flat and flush. So I'm just going to carry on clipping these really quickly and try and keep up with chat. Okay. Everyone's been quiet in chat now. Once we've done this part and we've got the stabilizers in, I'll well, once I've clipped these, I'll show you how I put them together and how I lube them. And then from there we'll go on to the build as well. We'll put the stabilizers into the PCB. We'll then add the switches. And then from there we'll move on to soldering the board, putting the board together, popping some keycaps on, seeing how it sounds, how it feels. I'll give my impressions of the board whilst it's built, and then we'll go from there. And if anyone has any questions, just make sure you tag @TopClack in the chat, and that way I can see them nice and clearly when they come through. Happy to answer any of your keyboard questions that I can. Okay, so that's all of those now clipped. Let's get rid of the F's and N's. Okay, so now what we're going to do is move on to lubing these and clipping them all together. So what we do to clip them together is the front of the sorry, I'm used to having a pale background. So you can see here, right here at the front of the stabilizer, that's where the wire clips in, that's what the round area is for that. When you look at the inserts themselves, they've got 2 holes on one side, that should just be about visible, and they've got 1 hole on the other side. The side with 2 holes should always go inside the housing towards the side that clips in. So you should have the 2 holes on the top here, right where the housing clips together. See if that makes sense. There you go, that makes sense. Then what we do is we take the wire, push the wire into the bottom of the 2 holes in the slider, and then clip it together. And there you go, guys, you can see that that then works as a stabilizer nice and neatly. So I'm just going to replicate that across the rest of these stabilizers, and then we'll move into the lubing section. Okay, that's that one done. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. If someone could just ping something in chat just to show me you guys are right. Ah, there we go. You tricked me. Here I am on Jay Keeps No Stream. Pusher, you knew that I was moving to Top Clack, dude. You should have guessed that the stream was going to be here, man. You should have guessed. I don't know. And we've got Tidal as well. Bonjour, man. Good to see you, dude. Glad to see you on stream. Hope you like to see the desk mat. Tyler was my Secret Santa this year, and he gifted me this lovely desk mat, which I was very, very happy and impressed with. It's amazing. And Siri D says, still alive, folks are still alive. Glad to hear. I thought my Twitch had broken, to be honest, because you've all been so quiet for so long. Push is saying, it's Sunday evening, brain is off. Yes, it's just about 9 o'clock here in the UK, 9 PM. Dark Destroyer says, Top Clack, what would your recommendation be on gaming switches? Found your channel because of the Holy Panda switches. I don't think there's a bad switch for gaming on. Honestly, I genuinely don't see that any type of switch is going to make it harder or easier to game. I know a lot of the media seems to suggest that the lighter switches will make it faster to actuate, whereas when you look at speed typists, you tend to find that they don't actually perform their best at the lower speeds. They tend to use a mid-weight, and that's where they tend to perform better. So in that respect, my recommendation would be whatever switch you like is good enough for gaming, whether that be a clicky switch, whether it be a tactile switch, or whether it be a linear. Personally, I game on my Holy Panda Canoe quite often. I also game on my polycarbonate Singer, which has got tangerine switches in, which are linear. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that, and anyone that tells you otherwise, they're probably convinced by marketing rather than any actual science behind it. We've got Gator on as well here. He says, out of my experience, I prefer linears to game instead of tactile. Yeah, it's all preference. I think that's the whole point. It's absolute preference. Whatever you like to game on, that's what's best for you, rather than saying, you know, going by what a magazine or an article says, or even a specific person. Click jackets are annoying to game on because of the high hysteresis. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Someone here, I can't read it because it's in black, says Roma G is fast. Hold on, let me hold it. Kunstfehler says, but Roma G is faster. Well, I think they have a shorter actuation like KL speed switches do. Whether that's actually faster to actuate or not is you know, it's a moot point in my feel. I don't think they are faster to actuate, and at the end of the day, that's all based on the skill of the user, not necessarily the speed of the switch itself. But that's just my view. That's just my view. Personal preference more than anything else. Absolutely, Dark Destroyer. You know, anything that you like from a Switch should be fine to game on. There is absolutely no reason why you couldn't game on any particular Switch at all. None of them, I feel, are going to give you any significant advantage unless you feel comfortable with it. And if you feel comfortable with it, then that's probably going to give you more advantage than you're not feeling comfortable. The common wisdom is that linear switches are the best, yet I vastly prefer gaming on dudes. I prefer tactile switches because you know when you've activated it then. You can feel when you've activated it, so that's just my preference. Speaking of gaming, you should come play Forza in the Discord sometime. Oh, I'd love to play Forza. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all over that. Absolutely all over that. I'm a big car nut outside of keyboards, so I will absolutely come and play some Forza. Switches with click jackets and jailhouse mod, fast actuation, no hysteresis. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not sure my advice can, but good to see you, dude. Anyway, good to see you. All the faster actuation stuff is marketed for gamers. I completely agree. But I'm going to be using box jades so soon. Box jades are fine. I've got a board with box jades and box navy blues as well. Yeah, they're nice. You always Overwatch first. Yeah, Gio, don't worry. I'll play some Overwatch. We're terrible, but I'll play some. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the lubing of the switches. So I use dielectric grease, which is just basically a silicone grease. It's easy to pick up from the auto parts store, the car parts store. It's dead cheap. This was £5, so about $7. 70 grams, and it's lasted me about 40 keyboard builds so far, and you can see it's still half full. There's still loads in there. It's nice and smooth, it's water repellent, it's dielectric, so you can use it on PCBs and circuit boards and all that kind of good stuff without worry. In terms of how to lube, what I like to do is take the stabilizer, pull the slider out of the housing, so you can see it's like that, take my brush, thin layer on the brush, a thin layer up one side of the slider, turn it over, make sure it's slid out, thin layer up the other side, really putting very little on. Looking at the back of the stabilizer where you can see the silver wire just poking out, you can should be able to just see that there. A little blob on the top into where the stabilizer wire goes. Use what's left on the brush to brush it around the curve of where the front of the wire is, especially where the plastic touches the metal. And then turning it over right across the bottom, I like to take a rice-sized piece and then wipe it front to back just across the base of the stabilizer. And that's how I like to lube stabilizers. So I'm just going to quickly replicate this across all of these stabilizers on all sides while we talk in chat. There's no right or wrong way to do this on the stabilizers. Everyone's got their own way. This is just my way. If you're going to try this yourself, guys, feel free to pick and choose your methods. Do things slightly differently if you want, anything like that. The one thing I would say is try not to overlube, because if you put too much lube on, it's difficult to take off. You'd have to strip it down, put it in an ultrasonic cleaner. That takes time, effort. It's easier to put on a little bit and then tweak if you're not happy with it later on. Just catch up with chat. Box shades and work keyboard, change your mind. I wouldn't subject my work colleagues to that punishment, but that's fair. My boss prefers when I use my jades over my Utamu dustproof skies. The dustproof ones are quite interesting stems on those. They are quite unique. I only have one of the switches, so I haven't tried a full board of them. I'd be interested to hear what they sound like actually. I've got Elliot as well in chat. He says new mouse mat. Yeah, absolutely. This was a Christmas present from Tidal, who's watching as well. Okay. I love the sound and feel of my box jades, but I really feel self-conscious about using them in an open office space, even though everyone has said that they don't mind. Hey, if people don't mind, then that's fair enough. You find to use them. If there's even one person that you may be annoying or is just not speaking up, then I would stop using them. It's better to be courteous than it is to have people suffer in silence. Jay, have you tried RO59 lube? I have, yes. I was not a fan. I much prefer Krytox 106, 104 compounds, and I also quite like some of the thicker lubes as well, 206 being a prime example. Sorry, 205 being a prime example. But I wasn't a fan of RO59. I've tried it on Alps as well, and I still wasn't a fan of RO59 on Alps either. That wasn't my kind of thing. Just the whole process waiting for it to dry, it takes so long. I didn't find that particularly enjoyable, and I didn't think it made it particularly smooth either. I got you. I'll make a typing test at some point. Yeah, I'd love to see it, CJ. I would absolutely hear it. I'd love to listen to that. Definitely do that. When I was working at the office, they got irritated by my burnt orange switches, had to switch to MX Silence. Yeah, I mean, I use a Revo White TX1800 at work. No one's ever complained or had anything to say about that. Too much lube on there to do the side then. Almost there, just one more stabilizer to go after this one. And then we can go about getting these in the board. Okay, last one. Best way to see if they don't like jades is to turn the board upside down and press the bottom multiple times. Yeah, that's one way of doing it. As I say, we're just painting the lube on gently here. Always add a little. You can always go back and add more later on if you need to. I'd rather underlube a switch or a stabilizer than overlube one. It's always worth bearing that in mind when you're doing activities like this. Okay, last side now. Okay, tried Ortho for 3 weeks, but I could not get used to it. It's a solid choice, just not for me. I'm the same. I've tried Ortho boards in the past. I just can't get my head around how to type on an orthodox board. It's just me. It's just a brain thing. I'm probably too old to learn that as a new skill now. Been 33. I'm not exactly young anymore. Okay. Okay, there we go. That's all of those stabilizers now lubed. I'm going to pop this away. Let's see what's going on in chat since then. Sounds annoying as shit. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I know this depends on many other factors as well, but in general, do you prefer the sound of PBT or ABS caps? Personally, I prefer the sound of ABS caps. PBT tend to have a bit more... I'm not sure what the right word is, but I don't like the tone that comes off of PBT. I also don't like the feel. I have a PBT black and white set, and I just can't use it. I had it on the LS for a little bit. I had to change it to GMK Stormtrooper. I genuinely think that ABS caps feel nicer to the touch. I like the look of them when they go shiny, especially on SA. Just my thing. I'm not one for PBT caps. Do you have a different mount for the Rode NT mic? Got the same one, but I don't think mine can rotate like that. No, this is just the stock one. It pivots backwards on itself, so it can pivot like that. I do have a boom arm that comes over, which I was using during the stream the other day, but for this purpose it doesn't quite work. It gets in the way of this camera that we've got here, and it comes underneath, so it's not ideal, but this is probably a better setup for this type of stream. Did he just call me stupid? I'm only 25. No, I call myself stupid. Whatever you infer from that is your own choice. Ortho is definitely not for everyone. I couldn't do it for the first couple of months when I tried it. Yeah. If you want to try and just eat at the desk and get it in no time, yeah, well, hey, you know, that's one thing. Well, I say that, I mean, this set here, I don't know if it looks particularly shiny to you. That's been a daily set for nearly 7 months now, so I don't think it's particularly shiny. A little bit on the space bar. Yeah, it's not massively shiny. It's about 7 months. Okay, great. 33 Elliot, 33, not 35. Stop adding years onto me. Stop adding years on. You're not making me older. Right, guys. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the PCB and we're going to mount these stabilizers into them. So as I said, we are going to put stabilizers into the board for backspace. So that's that one in there, and then what we're going to do is just going to screw these in as we go. Oh, stabilizer's falling out. Hold on. Let's try and get this lined in. Slippery fingers. One thing that I will say for the fixed layout PCB is I don't think there's anywhere where the where these screws might cross over and cause issue with the board. And you've got to remember, when we're tightening these screws up, we're not tightening them as tight as we can. We're just tightening them so that they gently nip the stabilizers onto the PCB. Any tighter and you do risk damaging the PCB, and that's not what you're going for here, guys. Now we're going for the anti-enter. Again, these stabilizers don't quite stay in the holes, so a lot of stabilizers, when you get to this point, they are quite stiff into the PCB mounts. These ones aren't particularly, so we're just having to hold them in place whilst we screw them. Okay, now we're going to do the lower shift. Okay, and then we'll move on from here, do the left shift, and then we'll do the space bar to finish up with. Okay, wait, he said 37. It is a beautiful PCB, yeah. I mean, if I had a spare one of these, I'd hang it on the wall as a piece of art. It's absolutely stunning, don't you think, guys? Even the routing's lovely. Even the routing is just to die for. It's absolutely beautiful. So just going to go over and do the far shift now, or the left shift. Being an ISO user, this isn't usually a shift key that I end up putting on a board, but we'll go with it today. Yeah, there is no split backspace support. There is only the two layouts that Zambu mentioned earlier on, the modern and the classic. If that does disappoint you, feel free to tell him on the IC, but I do think the board is limited to only 30 units. This is a prototype model rather than the production one. I wouldn't want one, but I never use it. I'm used to having issues with anything larger than 40%. Yeah, I struggle with a 40% sometimes. It's a little bit on the small side for me, and I need the punctuation stuff, but it's nice. Our screwing stabs are much better than PCB mount stabs. These are PCB mount, they're just screw-in versions. You can get clip-in or screw-in. Both are good. I prefer screw-in. I think they just feel a little bit more solid, and that's what does it for me. Raging Asian says 75% doesn't need anything above 75% doesn't need a split backspace really. Do you know what? I kind of agree. Let's just see which set of stabilizers we need to use for this. So I'm just going to make sure I'm using the right ones. There we go. Two more screws, and then we can start moving on to where the magic happens and popping the switches into the board. There we go. So that's our stabilizers all installed on the board. GMK screw and stabilizers all nice and neat. There we go. So what we're going to do now is take the plate, lay the plate over the top, make sure that all of the stabilizers are in place and that they're free to move. And just to make sure that our stabilizers aren't going to have any rattle to them, what we're going to do is just try shaking the PCB, see if we get a rattle. No noise. That's usually a good sign that there's enough lube on there to sort of stabilize rattling. Okay, so let's move on to the switches. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pop all of these switches out of this switch holder. Probably send them all over the board. There we go. Get that out of the way and bring all these back together. Okay, as I said, we are using Zelios V2 for this. Now these are PCB mount switches, which means that they do have the additional legs on the bottom. In fact, this camera might work a little bit better to show you. Yeah. It's going to focus. Nope. There you go, you can see the PCB mount legs. It does have PCB mount legs. Stocks has got C-layer screws. Now the screws are fine stocks, they're not going anywhere. It's a magnetic pad, they're not going anywhere. They won't come off. It's all good, all good. I mean, it's doomed to look at... It's doomed to look weird. It's not ISO. ISO looks great, I think. ISO is worse center, just saying. Lol. Big R center is worse. CJC same fair, you got me there. The thing is, it's not always about looks, it's a lot of it's about practicality. You know, whatever a user is used to is important, whatever they prefer, whatever their preference is, that's always really important to people building their own, you know, people building their own keyboards, people building an input device that they're going to use every day of the week. They want it to match what they're used to and what they know. So I'm just going to put a few switches in at the top of the board and then a few at the bottom of the board as well. And then what we'll try and do is just line it up to the PCB, make sure everything's all clipping in nicely, and then we'll go from there and put all of the switches into the board directly. Okay. So I'm just going to pop these into the PCB, puts those in nicely, and those ones as well. Okay, we're going to go from there, just pop some in each corner, align everything up, make sure everything's clipped into the switch, make sure the switch is into the PCB nicely, make sure the plate's at the right height, it's not ridden down these switches, it's not pressed up against the PCB. And then we'll go from there and just fill all the gaps in, and then that'll lead us on to solder time. So before Zambu sent me this board, he did say that he'd cleaned it. There is some small bits of white dust that you might see popping out. That's his cleaning fluid that's just got on the plate in places. I think he was using a brass cleaner, make sure it was nice and shiny for the stream. I think ISO is pretty good to use, but I can't stand the way it looks. That's fair. That's fair. It's all about preference. Yeah, as my advice goes, it's all about personal preference in the end. I don't think people have bad personal preference. The point is, it's preferential for them. If they like it, you know what, we should celebrate it. If someone comes out with a layout that only one person in the world loves, hey, if they love it and they use it, then that makes it a valid layout for me. Whether I'd use it or not, complete difference of opinion, but you know, we should never hate on things like that. Daniel says, I've gone up with both ANSI and ISO. Mechanical keyboards have converted me completely to ANSI because it's just easier that way. I'm not sure what you mean by easier. I know a lot of people convert purely to get keycaps, which is a bad reason in my opinion. That's you know, you're compromising there to be able to get something that looks pretty rather than something that's functional the way you'd like it. If you're changing because you prefer the layout, then perfect. You know, absolutely, I would recommend that anyone moves to the layout that they most prefer and most like to use. I just think if you're going to make such a bold decision as to change your preference, you want to change it for the right reasons, not the wrong ones. But that's just me. I can both use ISO and ANSI. I have no real preference. I just like to troll people. That's fair. As long as you're only doing it in jest, I kind of get that. One of the things I would say is, you know, if people like something, we shouldn't bash them for liking it. I don't think that's fair. We should try and make the community as nice as possible. You know, if people want to use a certain layout, you know, we shouldn't bash them for making that choice. That's a valid choice for them. It's a valid choice for the community. We shouldn't isolate people or push people to one side or tell them that they're wrong just because of that in any meaningful way. A little bit of banter's fine, but you know, we should celebrate the community as a whole, and it doesn't matter what people prefer at the end of the day, as long as we're all one unit and all working together to make things better for each other. I'm something to be on ANSI and I'm struggling to find enter with my little finger. Might be because I've come from a full size to 75%. Maybe, but I mean the typing area is still the same, so the enter is still in the same position. You see, I'm going for the ISO enter instantly there, and this is ANSI, so you see I'm going to have a problem. Gatorone says, how painful was it to get all the switches fully into the plate of the canoe? It wasn't particularly difficult at all on the canoe. I didn't have a problem with it at all. Polypanda switches straight in, no problems. I do remember people having problems with Zelios at the time. That was one of the challenges that I saw. But I built a couple, not had any issues. JT Jet saying, what are some of your favourite TKLs, Jay? I'll be honest, this is the only one I own. This is literally the only TKL I own. Everything else is either the 75%, 65%, 60%, or Hyper 7, which just here, which is massive. So, you know, this is the only TKL I have. I do think the number 1 looks really pretty. I think that looks absolutely stunning. I'm hoping that at some point I manage to get hold of one of those, especially considering it does support ISO and you can get FR4 plates in ISO compatibility as well. Soren says she has problems using big boards. If I use a TKL, I tend to find that I bash the side with my mouse all the time. It tends to be something that I do quite frequently. But as I said, this is the only one I own. Sometimes I have to use a TKL at work, depending on which office I'm in. So yeah, I kind of get that. Holy for president, no big ass enter caps. No, not on this build. Both left shift and enter closer to my little fingers. That was the main reason I switched to using ANSI when I relearned to touch tap from the home row. That's fair enough. See, that's a valid reason. I completely get that. Yeah, completely understand that. The Master Poly pandas are plate mounted, right? Yes, they are plate mounted. They're not PCB mount. They're the same as the original pandas, which did not offer a PCB mount variant. They were just plate mount only. Okay, so we're slowly starting to get some progress here with these switches in place. As I said, this board only offers the option of full caps lock, which is slightly disappointing for me, but I know there's the other layout that Zambu shared, which does offer stepped caps lock. I'm hoping that Zambu will open up the plate files for this and allow us to cut our own plates. And I'm hoping that Wilbur will help me do an ISO PCB for it as well. But we'll see how that goes. It's a very pretty board, and I'd hate to not be able to use it. CGT saying, I wish you'd been able to get in on the Hyper 7. Well, the group buy was only for the plates and the PCBs. Everything else was up to the user to provide. I know Ms. Evil Genius, who's in the chat today, they were building theirs. I don't know if you finished it yet, dude. But they were building their Hyper 7, and I was excited to see that. Bitshifter as well, who also might be watching, just call out that he has built his Hyper 7 as far as I'm aware, or at the very least he's soldered the switches in. I am getting quite a few requests to do another round of PCBs and plates, but to be honest, what I'd probably do is just open source the plates and run the PCBs. So if anyone's interested in one, PM me, and if I get enough PMs, I might run that again. Let's see what else is happening in chat. What's the general consensus on plate versus PCB mount again? If you're running a half plate, then you want to try and get PCB mount switches. The reason for that is they're easy to align if you've got switches that clip into the PCB. If not, then like for boards like this, it wouldn't really matter too much. Your solder's going to hold your switches in place anyway, so I don't think it'll make a massive amount of difference. You might have some difficulties getting your switches aligned, but there are tricks and ways around that as well. What PCBs don't have holes for PCB mount switches? There are some, but very few and far between. Most PCBs are going to have them in place. It's very few that don't. You're going to struggle to find one that doesn't support PCB mount switches. No, there'll be no issue. You'll be fine with the Holy Pandas. Ms. Evil says, I'm still not finished. I do have enough caps now though. Nice, glad to see you've got enough caps. Interestingly enough as well, DSA Ferris, which is about to run in a group buy, they are going to have a Hyper 7 kit produced. So DSA 7 Hyper 7 kit is going to be produced, purely because I asked the creator and he was kind enough to include that on the list. So if there is anyone out there with a Hyper 7 kit, you will be able to put caps on it, because you'll be able to buy the actual keycap kit for DSA Ferris. I don't know what the prices are. I'm not involved in the group buy particularly. I'm one switch short. I may have to lube another one quickly. I must have miscounted. Let's just make sure I didn't drop one on the floor, or I don't have it lying around. I could have sworn I got it right. Now it looks like we're one switch short. Let's just quickly grab another switch. It gives me an opportunity to show you how I lube my switches. Anarchy says, oh, it's not going to be stocked, group right, it will be stocked at PMK. Yes, sorry, that's right, absolutely, yeah. So DSA Ferris is going to be stocked at PMK. Okay, so this is how I like to lube switches. I'll show you really quickly. Let me just grab my lube brush. So this is Krytox 106. What I like to do is just take a thin amount from the inside of the tube. This isn't into the, so if you can see it's not very full, but it's all up the sides of the tube because it's being sort of sideways. I then take the brush, I take it into the housing, I go around the base of the slider, I come up one slider rail, come up the other slider rail, nice and simply. That's the housing done. I then take the spring, again, tiny bit of lube on the brush, just on the edge. I put the spring into the housing, run the brush inside around the spring, wiping all that lube off, all the way up the length of the spring. Then take the stem, and again into the loop, a really fine amount on the brush. Brush down one side of the slider housing on one side, make sure you cover the whole side. turn it over. On the other side, you should be able to see a thin layer of lube all over the switch. What I then do is I then just try and run it around both sides, just on the inside of the pole, just like so. Pole into the spring, top onto the switch, and that's one switch lubed. Now what I will usually do is I'll usually tend to lube all of the bases first in the tray holder you saw early on. I'll lube all of the bases first, lube all of the springs, lube all of the stems, put them all together and go from there. That's usually the way I do it. There we go. And out of the way so we can see chat. Awesome. Put the lid on this. Yes, you can just clip PCB mount switches. My advice, guys. It's definitely easy to do. Anaki's given you the link to DSA Ferrous. There we go. You don't lube inside the bottom housing stem hole. No, I don't, and the reason for that is because I lube the stem itself, so that will lubricate that hole as it goes up and down and moves around. So there we go. There you go. I worry about leaving the bases and the stems exposed, as I'll get dusty with little bits of grip will get in. Is that an irrational fear? I tend to lube the switches over an hour period of time. In an hour, nothing's going to happen to your switches unless you drop something on them, in which case you're going to have to clean them anyway. So yeah, I'd say you're fine. Okay, so that's the board put together. I'm just going to check and make sure that all of the switches are installed correctly and we've got no bent pins. I'm just looking down the length of the board now and making sure each row's got 2 pins for each switch, making sure none are bent out of fashion. We're all looking good from there. The other thing that I'm doing as well is I'm just checking, looking down the edge, making sure that the PCB and the switches are all lined up nice and neatly together. They are on that edge. They are on the back edge there as well, as you can see. Everything's nicely lined up. Just on this edge as well. No gaps between the switches and the PCB. Everything's into the plate correctly. And then all down that front side is fine as well. There we go. That means we are ready to solder. Get all the dust off this board. Okay, and I'm just going to grab this GMK box to do my soldering on, just so that I don't get solder on the work surface. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to solder this together. We're going to go a row at a time. And take it nice and slowly. Excellent Coke product placement. It's like a DC movie. Yeah, it's one way of looking at it. Nothing like Solitude. I do lube differently for linear and tactile. So these are tactile switches. I use 106 on them pretty much exclusively. I do some switches with 205 depending on what I'm building. But for these switches in particular, Krytox 106. For linears, what I tend to do is 104 on the spring, and then I'll do 106 on the housings. So I'll do inside the housings with 106. So wrong way around. Sorry. I'll do 106 on the spring and 104 inside the housing. So I do linears with a lighter lube, a thinner lube, and I do the housings. Everything's done the same way, same methodology. But yeah, 104 on the housings, 106 on the spring for linears, 106 on all of the bits for tactiles. There we go. Titan says, top Clack soldering iron of choice. My soldering iron is a TS100 in the same colour as my classic car. That was purely by chance, not by design. It heats up really quickly. You can put custom firmwares on there which allow you to have more control over the iron. Interchangeable tips, really simple and easy to use. It's nice and thin, feels like you're holding a pen, feels like you're writing, dead easy to use. Great soldering iron. And it's about $60. Oh, knocking over my horizons there. There we go. It's been a bit of a bumper week for resin. I might show those off on Top Clack next week. Okay, so what we're going to do first and foremost is just tack in all 4 corners of the board. So we're just going to heat the pin and the pad together. We're going to make sure the solder flows nice and easily. There we go, that's one switch done, just about. There we go. Move over to the other corner. And do that one as well. Come down to this bottom corner. Try not to use too much solder. You don't need to use too much, just enough to leave a nice bead, connect everything together nicely. There we go. Now those are done, I'm just going to do 2 in the middle just to pin everything together nicely. And that just means that even if we lift or bend the board or anything like that, none of the switches are going to come out of place. They're all going to stay broadly in place. They're going to stay nice and flush. Okay, and that means that now everything's secured together. The 2 pieces have become one effectively. Those switches are soldered in. And now we're ready to go row by row all the way through the board and tidy everything up. It's a good unit, it's a really good unit. TS100 is fantastic. TS80 is also nice as well, sorry, you're right, that's wireless as well, I think, or it uses actual USB rather than a charger. Useful for on the road soldering. It's still a really good buy. It's still a really good buy. T12 solder station is cheap and good if you have more room. I've got a desoldering station and that takes up enough room. This is really, really good. I love this. We've got Sashimi in chat as well now. Hey Sashimi, glad to see you. Glad you're on board. You're late. A base of some kind when you can get one. Yeah, that's fair enough. It is nice to have a base. I keep meaning to 3D print myself one, and I keep forgetting to do it. But I should do that at some point. But this is everything I need in a soldering iron. I have another gas-powered one that I use on car projects, but for anything electronics-wise, this is my go-to iron. It's really good, and I'd recommend it. Wait for that to flow down. Going to do this row, then we'll catch up with chat for a second, see how you guys are getting on. Slightly too much solder on this. Good. You can let the solder do the work with a lot of this. You can just put just enough on the tip of the iron, and then you can just watch it flow down onto the pins and the pads and make a nice seal. Once it has sealed, you can then remove the soldering iron, and then it'll look nice and solid. If it starts to ball up, rather than be a nice tent shape on the pins, you've got too much solder. It's just worthwhile cleaning your tip at that point. Clean it every 6 or 7 switches anyway. Make sure you've got a nice clean soldering iron. And as always, it's easy to add more solder later on and just use a small amount to begin with. Okay, I'm just going to do all of this TKL section at once, and then we'll come back and finish off the main portion of the board, and then I'll catch up with what you guys are talking about in chat. Okay. Almost there with this TKL section now. You guys will have to remind me what order the cap's going on a TKL across the top as well. With this being my only one, I actually don't know what order they go in. Okay. Okay, just do the arrow keys and then I'll take a break for a minute. As always, soldering isn't something you need to rush. It's dead easy to do. Take your time. Can't really go wrong. Don't heat things up too much, and you'll be alright. There we go. Okay, let's catch up with chat and see what's going on there. Sashimi's sleep schedule is very questionable. That's fair enough. Up till 5 AM, sleep till 2 PM. That's fair though, that's fair. Is that the Fanu? No, that's an actual canoe, not a Fanu. And this what I'm building here is a Verne prototype. It's a real one, yeah. Obviously a canoe generally deals in the real stuff. Yeah, I don't have a Fanu. No, I never got one. I would like to get one for comparison purposes. I did take some pictures the other day and shared it against walkers, but this is the real deal from the group bio previously. So yeah, so there we go. So that's the TKL section done and the top row. We're just going to go through the rest of the board now and do the 60% section, and then we'll put the PCB in the case and we'll go from there. And then we can get on to capping the board, and then from there we can get into a bit of typing sounds, see what the board sounds like, see how it looks, and we're going to run GMK muted on this board. And see what you guys think. You guys will have to let me know what colour accents you think I should use off of the muted set. I think I've got pink and cyan for the space and for the ISO enter, so you have to let me know. Sorry, and for the ANSI enter, so you have to let me know what you think I should use there. Still waiting on the Mr. Sleeves kit for muted as well. Okay, come on, flow down. There we go. And then we can also have a quick look at VIA as well. I have got that set up and ready and waiting. I haven't actually played around with it much yet, so it'll be a learning experience for me as well as you guys. Me bringing VIA on board on here. But this PCB does support it. We'll try and solder a little bit quicker now, see if we can make some progress. Okay. I'll do this row in the next, and then I'll see what you guys are talking about in chat, see if we can catch up there. And then from there I'll solder the rest of the board. Let's reflow that one. There we go. Okay. Just feel weird not looking for that ISO enter to solder in. That's on its own. That's nice and easy. And after the build's done, I will clean up the PCB with some isopropyl alcohol in the next couple of days as well. Probably not going to do that on stream today because it's a little bit messy, but it's something I will do just to make it nice and neat. Encountering the pins that we soldered earlier on to hold the board still in the middle. Okay, almost finished this row. Then I'll catch up with chat, see what you guys are discussing, chatting about, see if you've got any questions for me, and then we'll carry on, finish the board off, and then move into the capping, sound test, and other aspects of the board. Just going to reflow that one. A little bit too much solder on that. There we go. Oh, that's my wife at the door. Yes. Hi. Hello. No, I'm good. I'm not hungry, babe, but thank you. my wife wanting to know if I want a snack.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Thanks, babe.
But you're always...
I'm not always eating. Thank you very much for that.
Have you got notes and crosses on the screen?
So the notes and crosses are software we're going to use to program this board later on. There we go. Okay, so that's those 2 rows soldered. Let's catch up with chat and see what you guys are having a look at. Soldering isn't too bad at all. No, soldering is dead easy. It's just nice. Take your time. Titan's got to go. See you later, man. See you later. Most people say they don't want to desolder anything. Yeah, desoldering's not too bad if you've got a proper gun for it. If you've just got a wick setup or a suction thing, it's not great. One of the Anarchy's right. Get one of the cheap soldering DIY kits to practice on. That's really good. Do yourself a favour and get an engineered desoldering pump. Makes it brain dead easy. Yeah, they are good. I think the fully desoldering setups are a little bit better stocks, but no, I agree with that. I got some ISO holes and a 6-key macro pad for like €7. Nice. I hear puppy feet. Yeah, she was just outside, Sashimi. She was just outside. Sorry, and she hasn't asked about food for tomorrow. I don't actually know if she's made my lunch for tomorrow, but she usually does. She usually does. I'll be surprised if she don't. You don't need a snack. You are the snack. Oof, that would have been a good response, wouldn't it? I am the snack. Yeah. Feels a little bit off from the usual routine of your stream because the wife hasn't asked if I want food for tomorrow. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So I'm just going to carry on soldering the last part of this board, which is the last 3 rows. Bottom row won't take any time at all because it's so short, and there's only a couple of switches in there, and 2 sides are already done. Okay. Here we go, guys. I'm getting messages on something. I can't see. I've covered up my iPad. Flashings in the corner of a screen that I can't read. Okay. Yeah, the trick to soldering is just to take it steady, take your time, no need to rush it. If you're not sure about anything, just pause, stop, collect yourself. Come back when you've got a bit more knowledge, when you're a bit more confident with it. It's nice and easy. Okay, I've got too much solder on it. Try and wick a bit of this away. There we go. Okay. Making good progress now. 2/3 of the way done on the board, really. Last little bit to go. Shouldn't take too much longer. And then we can get to the exciting stuff. Okay. I'm going to solder these 2 rows in tandem. So doing the right shift here. And then just jump onto the bottom row. Slowly getting there, guys. Sorry about this taking so long. It is probably the most tedious part of these streams for you guys, to just watch guys solder. Okay. Not too much more to go now. Maybe 10 switches, something like that, and then we'll be done. that solder a couple of seconds to flow down and cool down. Okay. Almost there now, guys. Okay. Just 3 more switches to do after this one, and then we're done with the soldering. Unless anything doesn't work, we have to come back and reflow it. But I'll probably do that off stream rather than take it apart again on stream. It's done. Okay, 1 more switch, guys. And there we go. That's it. That's the board soldered. So I'm just going to take my soldering iron out, leave that to cool down. Okay. What are we talking about in chat then, guys? Netherlands, I see there's tip replacements for €29. Ooh, that sounds expensive. Still tastier than Quer. Oh, faster than Quer. Yeah, faster. Yeah, my build streams aren't ever going to be that long, I'm afraid. I'm lubing, so it's nice to have something more tedious to watch. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I did enjoy lubing, though. I enjoy lubing. Oh, sweet, didn't miss one. No, but Grisbert, you didn't. The Verne is here. We are still in the process of building it. We're not got much further to go now. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to pop this solder away. Just let me put this back on the reel. Okay, so let's just move this key set back out of the way and bring the board back in. So now we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to put the Verne in the top of the case. We're going to screw that down, and then we'll pop it in the bottom case. We'll connect all of the cables, and then we'll screw it together from there. There we go. Got my trusty screwdriver. And for this we're just going to go diametrically opposed. Tighten them as we go. The reason you go diametrically opposed with stuff like this is that if you've got any kinks in the plate or the plate's slightly the wrong size, this way you're going to find out about it sooner rather than later. And everything's going to fit together just a little bit nicer. You're gradually building in any tension rather than forcing it in the extremes when you go all the way around in one swift circular pattern. Oops. Help if I could get this one to go in. Come on. Okay, 2 more screws and then we're going to move on to the case. There we go, 1 more, and then we can move on to plugging the case together. Okay, so as I mentioned before, this does have a daughter board that we need to just plug in and plumb together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay that here, I'm going to connect them, and then once they're connected, I'm going to flip that over and put it together. Just want to make sure that this goes in the right way. Okay. There we go. Turn that over. And then now we're going to screw the case together. Exactly the same process as before, diametrically opposed for this kind of stuff. We're going to use that as a reference point to try and make sure that all of the edges are aligned nice and smoothly. And then we're going to come over to this side. Screw this down. That's the case nicely together. There's no overlapping edges. Everything's all aligned, everything's nice and smooth. Yeah, the corner's done. Oops. And then we're going to work our way diametrically across the centre. On a board with tolerances this tight, it probably doesn't make any difference whatsoever to do it this way, but if you've got a board that doesn't have the same tight tolerances and there's a little bit of error, this is the way to go to make sure that everything lines up nicely. I think the box CP suffered a little bit from this recently. Okay, and there we go, that's the board all put together. There we go, Zelio V2 brass plate, nice and shiny in the Verne TKL. We've got Lego Peppy just joined. What we're looking at today, I've just literally just said, sorry man, this is the Verne with Zelio's V2 on a brass plate, Verne prototype made by Zambumon. This is one of I think 5 or 6 prototypes. And what we're going to do now is 78 gram Zelios as well. What we're going to do now is put the keycaps on this, and we're going to go with GMK Muted today. Yeah, Zambu doing a great job yet again. Yeah, I would completely agree. The only thing I would change is the fact that it doesn't support ISO. But other than that, I completely agree. Okay. So I think we will go with the pink spacebar and the blue enter on this. I think that'll just set that off nicely, so I'll pop those on first. Oh, the wrong spacebar. Hopefully use the right one. Now question guys, do you think we should use the blue F keys up here, or do you think we should stick with the muted for the rest of the colourway? I'll let you guys decide. Soren says no accents already. Well, we're going to go with these 2 accents and we'll see how it looks. We'll take them off if it looks terrible. We'll see. We'll come back to the F keys once you guys have told me and decided how you think I should play the blue ones at the top. 2019 is the year of ANSI. Well, sadly for this board, yes. For now, anyway. For now. Pingu saying don't use the blue. Okay, we could just use the pink spacebar, the purple spacebar. We can do that. Grey F key said not to take away from the enter and the space. Okay, interesting. Daniel's got a slightly different viewpoint. Let's start up here. What about blue escape then? What about the pale blue escape? How are we feeling about that one, guys? I think we'll go with that. You guys also need to tell me what order this area goes in, because I don't have a TKL to copy from, or one I use on a regular basis to remember from, so you guys will have to tell me what order that goes in. Well, I'm guessing it's actually this order, so we'll see. Purple accents only. Yeah, I've only got the spacebar in purple, that's all that comes with it. I I think what we might do is I might agree with some of you guys actually. Let's change this. And let's do that instead. I think that looks neater, perhaps. It's not the order that's in the tray, is it not? Right, okay, well go on then, Shishima, you put me right, you tell me what order it needs to go in. Those are all mixed up. Okay, someone type out the top row and I'll do that straight away. Okay, so print, scroll, pause. Okay, we can do that. Print, scroll, lock, and then pause. Where's pause, 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 pause. There we go. Sprint, print screen, scroll, lock, and pause. Okay, yeah, I've got that. Insert home page up. Insert home page up. There we go. I'm going to guess that's page down there. Delete end page down. Delete end and page down. Thank you, Bug Whisper. I really appreciate that, man. Might as well put the arrows on whilst we're over here as well. There we go. Okay, right, let's carry on with the rest of the build now. Thank you very much for that, Bug Whisper. I really appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that. Not using a TKL. Yeah, I don't know all these things. Has anyone thought of using purposefully swirl keycaps like how they do on guitar sometimes? That does happen. You find a lot of custom keycaps that are like that. I've not seen any that are custom produced or double shot that are like that. But yes, you do see it from artisan makers quite often. Full caps lock because we can't use steps on this board, sadly. I'm going to use scooped F and J, so we'll come back to those. Prime caps and some sweet swirly stuff. Yeah, they do. I've seen a few caps from Prime caps that look like that. They always look really good. Elmo Smith says, guys, help me. What case colour of the Verne would fit SA Symbiosis better, blue or grey? I would vote for grey. I think this grey probably doesn't show as grey on here. It probably looks quite black, but it is grey in real life. Just so I think I would go grey. In fact, after this, if you remind me right at the very end, Elmo, I can go grab some SA symbiote caps off the Hyper 7 and I can show it next to it, and you can have a look and you can see and judge that for yourself. Just remind me to do that right at the end of the stream. Does anyone know to get GMK muted white 6.25 for you to send some spacebar? If you don't already have it, you aren't going to find it, I'm afraid. You'd probably have to buy a full set. Yeah, you're going to have to buy the whole set. This key just looks huge. It's my non-ANSI trained eye. I think this is the one I want here. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go Control, find the Alt key, and then where's the rest of the keys? There we go. Alt G R, menu and window. There we go. Those out of the way, and there we go, guys. GMK muted on the TKL Verne with brass plate. Let me know what you guys think. Side profile view, Nicely high profile, covers the caps really well. There you go. View from the back. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think. Bring out the non-accent space bar, it ruins it. Okay, let's have a look, let's have a look. Let's see what you think. Go on then, guys, vote in chat. What do you think? Do you think purple or the white looks better? What do you think? You guys tell me. I'll give you a couple of minutes to vote. I'll catch up with what's going on in chat. Yeah, thought about two, but there would even know many grey or black boards. But if there will be no blue in the group buy, it doesn't matter at all. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think Zambin one's running blue, but you can always get it recoloured after. Maybe we'll offer chocolate though. Hey, maybe that'd be nice. Daniel says grab bags are probably the best bet for the space bar. Yes, but they don't do GMK ones yet. I know they're going to do them soon. Bring out the non-accent space bar, it ruins it. Can we see that corner closer up? Yeah, whichever corner you want to see. I'll try and show all of them. It's not going to focus, isn't this camera from this angle? But there we go. I'll take some nice high quality pictures of that later on. Tasman Solution saying it's perfect. Yeah, it does look lovely, I'll be honest, it does look good. Sashimi saying, oh, TMO 50 shipping invoices are going out. Oh, Sashimi, you know I want one. You know I want one, and I'm not going to get one. That's really sad. White, almost as beautiful as man holding the both. Oh, no advice, guy. If you do white spacebar, do purple escape. There isn't a purple escape. There's only the blue escape. They don't do the purple one, but it seems like the vast majority is saying going white spacebar. So I will trust in the power of the collective. And I will change it just for you guys. If you see pictures with this changed back later on, I do apologise. White one, purple. Yeah, everyone's saying white. White looks classier. There you go, guys. There you go. Is the right shift slightly crooked, or is it just me? No, you're right. It is slightly crooked. Let's take a look at that. This could be just a stabiliser issue rather than a switch one. There we go. How's that? There we go. Nice and straight. Always have purple on the board. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. I think I'm going to leave it as it is, guys. Let's scroll down and catch up with the chat. Gosh, lots of people talking now. Clean sensibility is a 60% and a TKL. Yeah, it's lovely. Honestly, it is really nice. Will there be no ISO option, or is it just answer because it's a prototype? There is no ISO option, despite Zambin 1 being from the EU. There will be no ISO option. I'm going to try and work with Wilbur and get an ISO plate and PCB for this though, because I would like to build it that way. Anyone know what happens to the Rama UA80? It's happening soon. That's all I know. Just happening. Definitely has some curves. It does. How do you get it recoloured? Don't you have to be raw aluminium to be able to anodise? Yeah, but you can just have it sandblasted and re-anodised. It's not difficult. Or you can Cerakote it straight over the top, or powder coat it as well. There's other options. Just got to wait out for R2. Pretty sure that it's happening. Yeah, I know Brian says he might be able to get hold of one, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, right shift's fixed now. Now I had an accented enter. I did have the accented enter on there earlier on, but took it off. Yeah, I think, Soren, I think it was just it wasn't pushed down when I've taken it off and put it back on. It's fine. Menu looks crooked. No, it's not crooked. No, it's not crooked. So Durza, in this one, what we've got here is we've got 78 gram Zelios at V2s. So we will do a bit of a sound typing test for you in just 1 second. Let me just pop my music on mute. This is lubed Zelio V2s, 78 gram in the Verne prototype board with GMK muted. Again, I'm missing on the enter there because I'm wanting to go for the ISO enter, but there we go. It sounds really good. I like it. There we go. I think it looks really good. I might change this switch here. It's just a bit thocky for me. I might try and put a xylent in it. I've got some xylents here. I did prepare one earlier just in case I need to change to that. It does sound a little bit thocky. I might change it off camera later on, but it's good as is for now. It sounds great. I think it's really nice. Why would they not do both colours for the escape? Don't know. Don't ask me. They just didn't. Sorry, Sashimi. Sorry. Spacebar needs answer. Yeah. Sorry, I just seen that. Yeah. It does need some meme cuts. I think I'll probably just put the xylent in there later on and change it over. Never seen anyone use index finger on spacebar before. Interesting. So there is a reason for this. I do it as well. A lot of other EU people do it too. If you watch Wodan, if you watch Chris Wires, a few other people, we all tend to put our forefingers on space. The reason for that is we're all of a certain age where back in the day when we had certain types of laptops for work, it just made sense because you're moving the mouse with your thumb, and because your thumb was on the mouse, forefinger just hit space quite nicely, and you'd be typing on thumb on mouse, and you kind of lost your thumb for that, and that's kind of a muscle memory thing that I can't unlearn. I am trying to, when I'm not using this and I use the Alice, or not using the Canoe, sorry, and I'm using the Alice, I try and touch type properly. I do use my thumbs on that because the split and the angle force me to use my thumbs. It's not easy to get down my fingers down to the space bar there. So that does force it, but if I want to do a proper sound typing test, I have to type with forefinger, otherwise I'm just too slow and you can't get a good feel for the sound. No need to feel we're hurrying you during the soldering. We're used to Quakeham's pacing. Well, that's true. That's true. Could you not put a heavy spring in the space? I could do. I tend to do that on most boards. This board's got heavy spring in space. These are 68 gram Holy Pandas, and then in the spacebar we've got an 80 gram spacebar. It's just one of those things. Learn something new today. Yeah, it's just one of those things with that. It's just one of those things. I can use thumbs for space. I tend to use my right thumb if I'm going to use one or the other, which is why you'll see on this board there is a patch here where it's just starting to fade away. That's where my thumb sits naturally. It just takes time for me to learn, and I go to work and then I have to type quickly, and I just revert back to type. I just go back to my old method because it's easy. So I will get there eventually. It is something I'm going to do, and we'll get there at some point. Better to use your thumb as if one of your strongest fingers. Absolutely, no, completely agree. It's just my typing methodology. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I will get there. I should put 150 gram spring in the space bar in my build that has 100 gram springs everywhere else. So I can go one slight better than that. I'm trying to one up his teammate. I've got a keyboard 661 build that's got 125 gram switches as stock, as standard across the board, and then on the space bar it's got 180 gram spring. So yeah, that is almost impossible to type on. Okay, let me just move this out of the way as well. Okay, so what I want to do now, guys, is show you VIA. Well, first of all, what I'm going to do is plug the board in and test it works. Make sure everything's working, and once I've done that, I'm not going to share this on screen because I haven't set it up. Once I've tested this, I'll share my screen for VIA, and I'll test that. Okay, I'm just going to test this in switch hit first. Okay, everything's working so far. Okay, we're all looking good so far, yeah. Okay, all working fine, so that's fine. Just before we go on, if you've got any questions, I love typing on 100 grams, I might have to try 125 grams. Use 180 grams back in the day, is possible, yeah. Oh, and Talisman with the 1,112 bits celebrating Jay's first top clack on-stream build. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure Brian will as well. Really appreciate that, dude. Thank you. Top man, top man. You really catching up Olivia there. 21,000. Wow. You are really catching up Olivia at the top of that table. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to show with you. In fact, I'm just going to disconnect this because I want to show you it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you VIA. Oops, if I undo that. Let me see if I can turn this on. It's probably going to cover up the screen. There we go. So no keyboard detected at the moment. If you load the software from scratch, it doesn't show that. It shows just a load of X's and O's, which is Olivia's X and O's. You plug the keyboard in, and there we go. It appears straight away on screen. So you can quite quickly see all of the keys, all of the board. It shows, it knows that this is the WT80A, which is the Verne PCB. In fact, let me just get rid of Discord underneath there, distracting me. There we go. To change a key, I think you can just click on a key and you can change it. So you now see that I've got escape set to Q, stupidly, because no one has ever used that. But it's as easy as that. You don't need to flash the board. That's it changed. In fact, if I bring up switch here, I might be able to show you that. Let me see if I can get switch hit to show underneath. There we go. So at the minute, if I type Q, you see it shows as Q. What I'm going to do is go into VIA, change it to 7, come back into switch hitter, and now it hits 7. Simple as that. And that's just how easy it is to change in VIA. It's such a great piece of software. It's dead easy to use. Oh, and Talisman Solutions has gifted a tier 1 sub to Soran. Thank you very much. That's 19 gift subs you've done in there, man. That is amazing. Thank you very much. That's really, really cool. Thank you, Talisman. Thank you. I really appreciate that. The software looks pretty cool. It looks great. It's fantastic. It's dead easy to use. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger on stream for you, actually. Let's see if we can make this almost full screen. There you go. So I'll just show you once again. I'll bring up switch hitter. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the W this time. So if we wanted W to actually become 1 or 2, sorry, we'll go to there. Call up switch hitter, and now if I type W, you'll see that it shows as 2 on the keypad. And then we're just going to change it, and we're going to change it back to W. Back to switch hitter, and same key, my finger's not moved off the key. There you go, simple as that. Flashes on the fly, nice and easy to use, dead simple software, absolutely fantastic. Software looks pretty cool, it looks great. Oh, good, so fancy, wow, so cool. Yeah, it's fantastic. I found it lacking some features compared to what I'm used to with QMK. Yeah, that's true, Siridi. It is going to get better improvements. I know that Olivia's working on that. She's got a whole raft of changes she wants to make to it, as has Wilbur. So it is going to get better within time, and there's going to be more documentation for it, more board supported. It's going to be the future. And Geo with the tier 1 sub gift to Gator on as well. Thank you very much. 35 gift subs. Geo, what are you doing, man? That's amazing. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it's still a work in process VIA, but if you can see how powerful that is, guys, and for users who don't, who don't want to learn how to code in QMK, if we can give new people to the community a tool as good and as easy and as simple to use as VIA, then it's going to make programming boards so much simpler for them. It's going to get rid of all those Reddit posts about how do I program this board and that board and the other board. It's just going to make things so much easier for people. This is limited to changing the key map only on the first layer. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think so. Let me bring it back up. In fact, I've just answered my own question. It's not. So if you see these here, you've got basic. You can go to lighting, media, macro, layers. So you can change things on layers. And then if you go up here, you can go to layer 1. So you can see there's nothing coded on layer 1, but if I'm on here and I wanted some lighting controls, I can add all of those onto this layer. So I could put, for example, Q, there we go. There we go, I'm just going to fill up this row. There you go. So that's now that row on layer 1 for the turn to exactly that. If I wanted to change this to an FN key, I think I can go to layer 1, there we go, and then if we bring up, in fact it won't show on switch here, if I go back to the other layer, if we just change this to something like 0, just so you can see. So that's that popped in. If I go back to switch hitter now, in fact actually what did we say was layer? Okay, yeah, so FN key and A, should now bring that up. So FN key and A, that brings up 0. There you go, nice and simple, dead easy to change, dead easy. Oh, I've lost track of the chat. This is limited to, yeah, we'll answer that one. And a key. I wish QMK would come up with something like that. Well, this is QMK, it's just a front end for it. So, you know, that's where we're going to get to. Who implements VIA for each keyboard? At the moment, who does is Olivia and Wilbur. They're writing a guide that will enable other people such as Merlin and Jan Carr and all those other PCB gurus to convert it themselves. Olivia has a ton of stuff on the roadmap. Yeah, there's a massive amount on her backlog to go. Merlin's done a demo. Yeah, I haven't actually watched that yet, but I should do. Yeah. VIA is QMK, it's just a GUI front end. Yeah, absolutely. It's some fancy stuff. It's really, really good. It's absolutely fantastic bit of software. I've literally played with it for 5 minutes and I think it's already the right way for all these boards to be. Oh, Gia says there's a guide already that links you on how to convert. Yeah, I definitely need to check that out because I will use it for all of my boards going forward if I can. Smarter, user-friendly front end to timeless QMK. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it looks fantastic. But anyway, guys, there we go. That is the Verne prototype. I will get a sound typing test when I have to fix the spacebar and put a Xylent in there over the next couple of days. The Verne TKL prototype with GMK muted and 78 gram Xylent, as we heard before. Sounds really, really good. Yeah, the fact that you can see the plate shining through is absolutely stunning. It's really nice. There we go. It does look good. Yep. So unless you guys have got any more questions, I'm going to close the stream down in a couple of minutes. It's 10 past 10 here at night, so I need time to get ready for work tomorrow. I've got work in the morning. 78 gram Zelios. Yes, I'm going to put a Xylent in the spacebar. So I haven't done that as yet. I'll do it off stream later on. It'll take me 5 minutes. But I'm definitely going to pop that into the spacebar to reduce that thought because it is a little bit loud for me, especially when you compare it to the other keys. So yeah, so that's where we are. You wanted a question at the end. SA keys. Oh yes. So we were going to have a look at. I can't remember the guy's name, but it was one of you, Elmo, I think it was. You wanted to see. I can't find it in the chat. You wanted to see what SA keys look like. SA Space Cadet keys look like next to the grey of the board. Let me just grab some for you and show you. So this is my Hyper 7 that's in pieces at the moment, the one that I'm in the process of rebuilding. Sorry, it's all connected, it's two bits, so you can see there, and it's massive. So here you go, this is the Space Cadet keys next to the board. So as you can see, it's going to look great on that colour. Works really well with that. Yeah. So if you can imagine, this is a TKL, and this is a 65, and this board is twice the length of a 65%. The Hyper 7 is a beast, but I need to rebuild all the keys for it and everything else. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So there you go. Oh gosh, there we go. If I don't drop it, that's kind of what the board looks like from this perspective. It is absolutely massive. I'm in the process of making a new case for it. All of the functions and everything else that you see on this absolute work. 8,000 functions over 9 layers. I think me and BitShifter got it to. So yeah, it is an absolute unit. Let me just pop this back. So Elmo, if you didn't catch that, you can go back and you can have a look at it. If someone wants to tag him, I can't remember his exact name, but if you want to go back and check that out a few minutes ago, you can have a look at what it looks like next to the case. Right then, guys, I'm going to close the stream down now. There's been no further questions. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I'm really enjoying my first build stream on Top Clack. It was really good. It was fantastic to see you all. I hope you'll see me next week on Thursday for the usual weekly episode of Top Clack. And yeah, I'll see you again soon. See you guys.